You ever feel a room go so silent it presses on your chest, like someone's holding their hand over your heart just to see if you'll flinch? That's what it was like in that courtroom, the tick of a cheap clock, the shuffling of papers, the judge's chair creaking back and forth, and 17-year-old Khalil Dawson, standing there in a baggy orange jumpsuit with his wrists cuffed, eyes fixed on a spot of tile, as if looking anywhere else might break him entirely. I mean, I've seen a lot of cold rooms in my life, but that one man, you know what I mean? It felt like the whole world was waiting for a punchline that never came. His mother, Nina, was sitting way in the back, hands clenched together, knuckles white, eyes raw and swollen. She looked like someone who'd used up every tear she had but kept going anyway. She called every lawyer in the phone book, but nobody answered, or if they did, it was always too late, too expensive, or both. The judge didn't even bother looking up at Khalil. Just kept flipping papers, voice flat as he read. Guilty on all charges. Life without parole. That was it. Like reading off some grocery list, no pause. No explanation, nothing. Nina let out a sob, so sharp it made the bailiff shift in his chair. She tried to stand, knees buckled, hit the floor with nobody helping, not the guards. Not even Khalil's own lawyer. That silence was loud. Khalil, though, he just stood there, still, quiet, clutching this folded, frayed sketch drawn his mom reading under their living room lamp the night before everything went sideways. Now it was all crumpled in his hands. The bailiff said, "Let's go." Khalil didn't resist, didn't speak, just walked one last look at his mom reaching for him, her mouth moving in a prayer nobody answered. The door clicked shut, and just like that, they moved on to the next case. It wasn't just Sin and Seta was erased, you know? Thing is, before all this, Khalil was just a quiet kid with a sketchbook living in this tiny second-floor apartment on Westmore Street with his mom. One bedroom, a couch, a kitchen just big enough to turn around in. They didn't have much, but it was home. Khalil never really fit in with the crowd, but he paid attention, noticed stuff other people missed, like how the sunlight turned the side of his school gold at dusk, or how a teacher's shoulders slumped when the world got heavy. He'd sketch it all, kept it to himself. The only place he felt truly seen was the county library, 6 blocks from school, with this ancient scanner tucked behind the genealogy section. Miss Gloria, the librarian, always welcomed him, called him her secret weapon. She believed in him from day one. He'd scan his best drawings, naming each file, just so, tucking them onto a battered flash drive. He had a goal. The Art Future Scholarship, a shot at a full ride to a real art school. Odds were long, but he believed. The day he got his recommendation letter from his English teacher, he just carried it home slow, didn't even tell his mom, tucked it in his sketchbook like a lucky charm. That night, he bought dinner from the corner store sandwich for himself, strawberries for his mom, her favorite. She smiled when he handed them over. You remembered? Of course he did. He sketched her folding laundry, her brow furrowed, hands careful. That drawing he was saving for the scholarship folder titled "At Home." It's wild how fast everything can flip. Just a regular Thursday, sun warm on his back, Khalil scanning his artwork at the library, chatting with Miss Gloria, feeling good. He stopped at Martinez Market Chips, chocolate, strawberries talk scholarship stuff with Mr. Martinez stepped outside and screeched. Police cruisers pulled up, no sirens, just force. On the ground, someone yelled. Khalil froze, hands in the air. Another cop barked, get down, rough hands grabbing, snacks hitting the pavement, strawberries bursting, sketchbook falling open, pages scattering in the breeze. Someone slammed him face first to the concrete. He tried to explain library, Miss Gloria, scholarship folder, but his mom had warned him, if they ever stop you, don't argue, don't move, stay alive. So he stayed still. They called out, young black male, blue hoodie, matches description. Chips were crushed, chocolate lost in the gutter, sketchbook left behind, drawings fluttering in the wind. They never even checked his ID or looked in his bag. You can explain that downtown, the officer snapped, pushing Khalil into the cruiser. He saw his sketchbook lying on the sidewalk as they drove away, a last thing he saw before everything changed. His public defender, Mr. Hayes, met him 10 minutes before court. Guy looked tired, distracted, barely glanced at the file. Anything you want to say? Khalil tried library, Miss Gloria, security footage. Mr. Hayes just nodded. We'll see. Inside, it was a skeleton chrono jury, sleepy bailiff, Judge Roland Pierce up front. Prosecutor ran through the evidence-blurry security cam still, an artist's glove from Khalil's bag, a partial print. Mr. Hayes didn't push, couldn't reach Miss Gloria, had no witnesses. Khalil tried to speak, but the prosecutor cut him off. Judge ignored him. The court clerk, Elena Vargas, watched it all, stomach twisting. She remembered seeing files traffic cam footage, notes about broken surveillance, glove-size discrepancies, but now those records were gone. She couldn't say anything, not yet. Judge Pierce denied bail, banged the gavel, didn't look at Khalil once. The hearing wasn't a trial, it was a formality. 3 weeks later, Khalil sat in juvenile lockup, gray walls, time dragging. During phone hour, a guard told him, "One call, make it quick." His mom couldn't afford to accept collect calls, so Khalil dialed a number he'd memorized as a key to number he'd never used. It rang all the way to Washington, D.C., where Luther Pryor, the U.S. Attorney General, was stepping off a podium, phone buzzing in his pocket. He answered. "This is Luther Pryor." A pause. "It's Mayor's son. I need help." Luther was stunned years of distance, decisions not to get involved, now crashing down in a single call. "Where are you?" "Georgia, Fulton County." "What happened?" "They said I robbed a GameStop. I was at the library." "They won't listen." "They gave me life." Luther felt the weight of every speech, every policy, every late night in the office where he'd promised justice, but couldn't save his own kid. He spent the night digging through the case found, doctored footage, lab reports changed, a judge with a history of hammering black boys with the harshest sentences. He called in trusted young attorneys, opened a secret investigation. "Start with Khalil Dawson," he told them, "but don't stop there." Meanwhile, Elena Vargas, just a court clerk, the kind nobody noticed gone sleep. She knew what she'd seen. Files deleted, evidence buried, a judge who bent the system. She sent a message to Luther's team. "I have documents. Meet me." In a quiet cafe, she handed over the original files traffic cam data, memos, proof Judge Pierce's nephew ran the juvenile center Khalil was sent to. Threats had been made, her apartment broken into. "They want me quiet," she whispered, but Khalil had drawn her once in court, saw her when nobody else did. Now, she refused to disappear. Inside the detention center, Khalil started sketching again other inmates, their stories. Marcus, the laundry guy with a poet daughter. Deshaun, who sang Motown. Carlos, dreaming of a food truck. Tony, who read sci-fi. William, who grew plants in the yard. Miss Lavinia, the retired teacher, snuck him real artist paper. Jamal, his cellmate, passed him notes, use it before they take it. Khalil's drawings slipped out through volunteers, made their way online, then everywhere portraits with names, stories, song lyrics. The campaign called Inside Voices blew up murals, gallery walls, protests. Out there, people were finally seeing them. Luther stood before the Senate with the receipt sentencing logs, timelines, faces of all the boys lost in the system. Then, Khalil's sketches lit up the chamber. A man with a poetry page, a boy at the window, a father holding a toy. Outside, crowds chanted, "Justice for Khalil." The media ran wild, CNN, NPR, everyone. But for Luther, it wasn't politics, Anna Marie, it was personal. When the appeal finally came, the courtroom was different. Arched windows, sunlight. A judge who looked you in the eye, Diana Martinez, a woman who defended the forgotten. Khalil wasn't alone this time. Civil rights lawyers, his mother, even Luther behind him. Elena Vargas testified, laying bare how Judge Pierce broke protocol, moved the case to help his nephew, erased evidence. Judge Martinez asked Khalil if he wanted to say anything. He stood up, still thin, still quiet, but steady. "I didn't want to be a symbol. I just wanted to make art. But if my story helped someone else, maybe it was worth it." The judge didn't hesitate. "Mr. Dawson, you are free to go." No cheers, just the sound of a mother weeping into her hands. That night, Khalil sat on his bed in the same old room. Silence no longer crushing, but open like a blank sheet of paper. He pinned it up on the wall, ready to begin again. They tried to erase him, but the world heard. Now, his voice is everywhere, and he's just getting started. So, let me ask you, where's the line between justice and erasure? Was it right? Was it wrong? Or is the system itself broken? Share what you think in the comments. Speak up, because stories like Khalil's don't just fade away. Not anymore.